Hi, WFMers out there. I'm your host, Irina, and this is WFM Unfiltered, a podcast by Right WFM, the place where we share the truth about workforce management. So get comfortable and listen closely. Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of WFM Unfiltered. And we have a mission for today's episode. My guest will have to learn some Bulgarian till the end of the episode. And we're going to be talking about vendors. So it's going to be a very fun one. But before we start, great. Welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be here. And I don't know any Bulgarian. So if I walk away with like one or two words, I'll consider that a win. And I play soccer once a week, and I have some Bulgarian and Russian people on my team, and they always say a bunch of stuff that I don't know what they're talking about. So it'd be cool to.
Well, I have some ideas. I think I know what they're saying, and I don't think I should use it.
It's probably not appropriate for this.
Yes, but I will teach you. Say Aide. Aide.
Ide.
Aide.
Ide.
Like, come on, let's go. Aide. Aide. Let's start.
Ide. Ide.
So,
Okay.
before we start with the topic, please introduce yourself.
Yeah. So my name's Greg Reffner, a founder, CEO of Abstract. I'm real-time call coach and automated QA platform. Been in software for 11 years. That makes me sound old when I say it like that. Married, two beautiful boys, another boy on the way. Love life, all good stuff. So excited to be here.
All great stuff, actually, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Now you're making me be a little bit softer on you because you're a vendor and you know my opinion and how I handle vendors. But for today's episode, we decided to reverse a little bit the topic. And was it last week that I was on your show?
Yeah, like less than like 5 days ago, something like that.
It feels like the first time in our universe, like constantly something happening. But actually, that's a good opportunity. Why don't you introduce the show as well?
So Abstract's KPI Contact Center podcast really just focuses on contact centers holistically, and we try to dive into different KPIs or different strategies, tactics. I know in our conversation we had last week, it was fun kind of breaking that pace because we talked about a different subset of categories. Like we didn't focus on focused on like general relationship with vendors, buying, selling processes, which kind of crosses across all different software types, whether it's work from home software, contact center software, CRMs. So it's a nice change of pace to have you on board.
So it's a great show, fantastic one. I'm going to link it in the show notes, and it's definitely one that the listener should follow along. And let's dive into our topic about vendors. And, I'm notorious for being very tough on vendors and their delivery or no delivery and the way that they're handling prospects and customers. But to be absolutely fair, things are going often south from a prospect perspective as well. So I want to hear you from a vendor perspective. What can go wrong in discovery calls, in implementations, and what are usually the mistakes that prospects make whilst they are entering in a relationship with a vendor?
This is gonna get spicy. What's the Bulgarian word for spicy?
Oh, do I need to use a curse word?
Let me know. This is gonna get a little spicy. Mistakes. I don't know if mistakes is the right word, Irina. I think a lack of knowledge around how to buy. And that is, I don't know if the prospects, if they're at fault or if the vendor's at fault, is probably shared. But I think one of the biggest things that I've seen in my career, 11 years, the biggest mistake, if you had to pinpoint one down, would be paralysis by analysis. Just overthinking, trying to solve every little nuanced problem you can, put it together in RFP, and the end result is no one's going to meet your requirements because your requirements are unique to your organization. And when folks look at a platform that's supposed to solve every single one of their 600 problems listed on their RFP, like they're going to be disappointed because either A, the vendor's going to lie to them about what they can do. B, the vendor's not going to lie, but they don't have it. They're going to build it if they win the RFP. Or 3, the vendor can do everything on that list, but they don't do it well because it's impossible to do that many things well. And so I think just this idea that you need to overanalyze, overthink. Like if you have a problem, go find a solution and fix that problem, put it behind you. You don't need a committee. You don't need 17 different vendors as part of an RFP. Like find a problem, find a solution, and move forward. I think that's the biggest, mistake I see people make.
I love that. And I fully agree on this one. And usually I have also seen it in a way that, let's say the contract is already made, but for some reason the customer is unhappy. They decided that the solution is not fit for purpose, and they start hanging on to every single little thing that this tool is not supporting, which was never a requirement to start off with. But let's try to dig into this one because it is very, very important. Where as a vendor we draw the line? Like, where do we say, okay, you know what, maybe this prospect, it's going to be more work than it's going to be worth? Like, when do we say no?
I'll give you anecdotally a good example for abstract. Like we tell folks no all the time, and we base that decision off of previously lost customers, Irina. So when we look at like our customers that we've lost in the past, whether it be for our fault or for the prospect's fault, we throw those things out like within the first 10 minutes of meeting somebody. Like, hey, Irina, I want to get to know you. I'm going to share some things. I'm going to ask you a couple questions. And based upon the answers to that, like we're going to be able to figure out if we're a good fit or not. I'm going to tell you if we're not a good fit. And I think what's fascinating is folks don't expect that. They don't expect to be told by a salesperson that like they can't give them their money. But we use historical data on what hasn't worked to kind of set the stage for if you do this, or you have this, or you want to do this, we're not a good fit for you. Like, go talk to this company over here. And I think that's like the best thing you can do is just use historical data to know what a bad fit customer is and be upfront with folks about it.
Let me think about that. I don't think I've ever heard about vendors saying, oh, we lost customers publicly. That's refreshingly honest. Oh my God, you're stopping me in my tracks. You know what? I think for me as a customer, because I'm the customer that you don't want to piss off, because I'm very demanding, I'm going to be very vocal. But equally so, if you tell me, this is where we stand, this is what we deliver, this is what we absolutely cannot deliver, chances are that I'm going to choose you because I can trust where I stand with you. If you start selling me roses and unicorns and fluffy rainbows and clouds, like, forget it. Forget it. I'm just going to call you on your shit right away. But I don't think I've heard that. So tell me, in that process of discovery, when you receive that RFP with 700 things, is there a way that you can educate the prospect in which you think it's not feasible, or maybe often there is a knowledge gap that they think they need something which is not even a good practice to have?
Yeah, great question. What I would say is depending on the type of the organization. So we recently got a RFP from a government entity in California. And what's interesting about this is they sent us an email 2 years ago telling us that they were going to begin building this RFP and we should expect to receive it. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'll look forward to that. 2 years later, we got that RFP. And I just immediately was like, nope, not interested. Because if a company takes 2 years to put together a requirements list, there's no amount of time or energy I can spend that's going to change their mind on why something's important or not. Like, just it's not going to happen. At least not it's not going to be worth the time that I need to spend to do that. Now, on the flip side, if somebody comes and they're like, hey, we're getting sued by this government entity because we broke compliance or we're about to lose our license. And so there's real pain and they're trying to solve for something right away. And maybe that list of requirements is a little bit off. like, sure, we'll spend some time and say, hey, anecdotally, right? Here's some examples of where that has gone wrong. We had a customer try this and this was the result. Have you thought about that? We've had a customer fail trying to do X, Y, Z, and here's why it failed. Have you thought about the consequences of that? And so I will spend time trying to help folks out based upon kind of the catalyst that's prompting them to want to get potentially engaged with us in the first place. Very long answer to your short question.
No, no, I like it because I always like thinking from different perspectives. And for me, the vendor side is one that I don't explore often just because I know from user perspective, it's so difficult to secure the budget for a tool. But once we secure that budget, we're like, we want everything. And this is not realistic. And often vendors are put in that situation of, we know we can help you, but to get you, sometimes we have to kind of throw dust in your eyes, like just to get you across the board so we can start helping you. But it was also great examples for you, but it made me think about the discovery and sales process because often the people involved in that phase are not going to be the people that are using the software. So what is happening from vendor perspective if, let's say, in our environment, you're meeting the contact center manager, you're having great conversation, he or she or they are not the specialist, they're deciding that they love your company, love the approach, signing it, and then they're transferring your tool to be introduced to the QA team, the WFM team, whatever team, and it's going kaput.
So great question. And something that I think we initially were really bad at as a company, Irina. We've gotten better at it, but we've realized that how the software is A, handed off, and B, that communication is just as important as everything else. And so we actually now, when our customers will offer it and say, hey, Irina, I know you're going to go hand this off to your team over here. Can we work with you on how you're going to deliver that message or how you're going to introduce this? Let us be a part of it, right? Let us share with you the right way to write this email, or let us help you put together the presentation. Because like we've seen this blow up, we've seen it not go well. And so let us help you with that. And when our customers allow us to collaborate on that project, it goes really, really well. Sometimes they do it on their own, it goes really, really well. Sometimes they do it on their own and it goes horribly. And then they come back to us and they're like, hey, can we take you up on that to try to fix this? And they'll say, yes, of course. But I think from a vendor's perspective, you never stop selling. So whether like you don't stop selling the moment the contract's signed, now you're selling frontline manager A, user B on why they should continue to use the product and the platform all the time. And so like that's customer success's job to keep selling and keep kind of momentum once the contract's been signed.
Interesting. So, what happens in your world once you're introduced to people that not necessarily have the knowledge, expertise, or will be able to handle the tool in a good way? So, to give you an example from my side, I have been in situations where I'm training people and it's very clear they're not for this role, but they've been put on this role for whatever reason. They're comfortable with their process because it's manual, because it doesn't require a certain logic, which is not going to be the case with a sophisticated system. But I need to train them. I need to sell them the idea that actually this is going to be optimizing their work. It's going to be helpful. And I'm facing the wall. It's like not happening. Like it's not working. Thank you, but no. What's happening in your head then?
So the blunt side of me, my dad and me would say, adapt or die, right? Like, hey, if you're not willing to change, you're going to be replaced by software or by somebody who is willing to change.
Mm-hmm.
And so Mr. and Mrs. Frontline Manager, like, if you're not willing to change, I'm going to find something or someone that is willing to. In a lot of industries, there's a level of complacency or comfort that has resulted in people not being forced to change and organizations not being forced to change or adapt. And with the introduction of AI and the pace at which it's evolved, there's now a lot of companies that are playing catch up. And I think a lot of folks are coming to the realization that they're probably going to be out of a job real fast if they can't adapt and change. And so I think from a vendor's perspective, I mean, it sucks to say, Irina, but like we've had hard conversations with like a VP or a director level and say, hey, like this person over here, they're hurting your business. And I know we've had an influence in getting that person removed from that team. We're not just selling a platform, we're selling a solution. And this person is hindering your ability as an organization to move forward. Here's why. And so, yeah, like, as a vendor, be like, hey, I can lead you to water, whether it's your choice, whether you want to drink it or not. But there's just a certain level of complacency and comfort that I think people get into that creates resistance. And that resistance is going to get overcome by software. Like you're going to be out of a job if you're not willing to adapt.
I think this one is potentially a huge cultural difference and different in markets because in Europe, we are very employee driven. And I keep on saying that in the majority of our recordings. So I've often been in a situation, including when I became manager, I knew because I was coming out of this team, became a manager, and I knew exactly who is doing what and how and who is not doing anything. And there was very apparently people that were just not fit for this team. They didn't have interest, they couldn't do the job, and it was not a fit on both ends. But they were comfortable there because they were getting a salary and they were a part of this company for 10 plus years, right? So at the moment I started opening the conversation is, hey, my team is not healthy. I speak with this person. They don't want to change. They don't want to adapt. They don't want to learn. Then it's a hard message to sell up the ladder because then I'm basically saying, yeah, you kind of kept this person for 10 years and the person, I mean, it's better not to be a part of that company. But also, we can't just let go of people, which would be the difference with the US, I imagine. If you're saying, you're not delivering, the door is right there. We can't do that. And most of the management teams will be like, who are you to tell me, been hearing doings that this person who is in the company 10 years is doing nothing? So how do you cope with that cultural difference?
Oh, so many thoughts. So many opinions on that.
It's a shitty spot to be on. I know. I've been there so many times.
So one of my favorite books is called From Good to Great. Somewhere behind me. And it talks about like you don't just need the right people on the bus, you need the right people in the right seats on the bus to move the business forward. And here in the United States, sure, we have kind of at-will employment, which allows you to literally fire anybody for any time you want. But it's easier if you have data to back it up and proof points, right? And so regardless of whether I'm in Europe or Asia or South America, North America, I think you look at and you use data, objective. You're not subjective about it. There's no emotion. It's objective proof points around performance or lack thereof and the business impact. And you almost go and build a mini ROI case. Like, here's why this person no longer deserves to be here. Or, hey, this person's great as a person. We like their character. We think they can do great. Go put them in this role over here. Mm-hmm. Because they can do that job and they can do it really well. Maybe they're just in the wrong seat on the bus. They need a different seat. So use data, be objective about it. Don't make it emotional. And ultimately, what I would say is if you bring it up, you build a solid reason, some proof, like, hey, historical performance, and your boss is like, nope, we're still going to keep this person around. Probably want to look for a new company to work with because that company is probably going to die.
You know what? I'm not sure if it's going to die, but especially in big corporations, there are people that basically are from the get-go, straight from high school in the same company and are having this the entire career in the same company. And they can be fantastic, right? But there are also people that have not been exposed to anything else, don't want to learn anything else. And these are exactly the type of people that usually are going to be like, who are you to tell me how to do my job or how to do my business? And for me, it's so fascinating when I see how well companies can be, but how stuck they are just because they're facing the roadblock of their own employees sometimes.
Yeah. There's no perfect answer, right? And it's going to differ from company to company and, the culture that's built, right? I mean, some companies build an amazing culture where subpar performance kind of organically works its way through. And like people are naturally just pushed out of the company as a result of the fact they no longer fit in the culture. So I think it's a complicated answer, but ultimately, like you look at the rate at which things are changing, right? Like
Mm.
Elon Musk just introduced Grok 4 that scored 16% on the AI test. Last time it took it a year ago, it scored 8%. So it's doubled in intellect in the past year. Imagine like, I think one of my quotes from a podcaster that I was listening to, he said, hey, if your job has a job description, it's going to be replaced by AI.
Mhm.
And I think, again, if you're not willing to learn it and you're not willing to change, you're going to be replaced by it because companies will realize it doesn't sleep, it doesn't talk back, it never takes sick days, and it's more accurate and it doesn't have faults. And so, like, adapt or die. Like,
I think this is where your sales process starts to break with certain people because it scares them to a point when they're saying, why do I open the door for my own replacement? That's how a lot of people are translating AI, and not only AI, like traditional technology that has no AI, it's just purely automation of processes. They're thinking, okay, I know my job is copy pasting stuff, manually listening to calls, and then just scoring on my survey or whatever questionnaire out there. But if I introduce that to when I say, oh, it's really good, it helps me optimize 90% of my work, I know that the next steps would be somebody saying, well, why the heck am I paying you a full salary if 90% of your work is being optimized? And I think this is where the conversation should be with the higher management of this person shouldn't be doing stupid stuff. They should be doing the complicated analysis, whatever they're doing, but not the stupid stuff that can be automated. That's where it always goes out. And this was my next question or the situationship is when we have people that are just resistant to change, but they're the ones that are providing the feedback about the tool to the higher management. Because for me, it happens all the time. We're dealing with end users, and these end users cannot adopt, do not want to adopt, don't want to talk to you, don't find the time to talk to you, and find every single little reason to trash talk the solution in front of the CEO, contact center manager, whatever manager you're dealing with.
so something I learned early on in my sales career was you never are selling a person or persons, you're selling an account. Irina, if I was selling software to you and
Mhm.
you were my prospect,
Mhm.
I would want to make sure I multi-thread as much as possible. I want 8 or 9 contacts at your company bought it to this and multiple different levels. I just don't want you to buy it. I want your company to buy it. And that often means that I'm pushing to meet your CEO. I'm
Yeah.
pushing to meet your CFO. I'm pushing to meet every VP and director that makes sense. So that when the time comes that we do get that person who is our dissenter or detractor from implementation, we can go back and be like, hey, like this is an isolated event, right? Like everything else is going really well. You have this over here happening, but that way we have like the account bought it, not a person bought it to the platform. And I think again, going back to you never done selling, right? Our job, our customer success team's job is to create spider webs, tentacles into the company and make sure more people know about it. Make sure more people are getting value out of it. because that's the only way you can overcome that detractor who feels like their job is being threatened by our software.
Yeah. Oh, what a great answer. I never thought about spider web as such, but it's a great one. And we are approaching about time, but before we wrap up, I want to ask you the question, which is instigating my hatred often to vendors, asking or looking for an answer on the question, why are you guys, you vendors out there, always interested in prospects and forgetting about current customers? It's annoys the fuck out of me. People are paying you money, and at some point you're starting to look and go after the new one, the thing that's not certain, and completely forgetting about the people that do pay you and are loyal.
I think that's a huge mistake. First off, I can't speak for other companies because our customers are our number one priority. Like I'll move a prospect meeting if a customer wants to meet. Because like customers are your lifeblood. And so a lot of our new customers are a result of the work that our previous customers, have done with us. The case studies, the references. Like I think it's a huge mistake to not place your customers as priority. I think for bigger companies, like a customer becomes a number on an Excel spreadsheet. For a smaller company that actually like is impacted by a customer leaving, like it's a lot easier to make that cultural or like that identity of customer first as part of your culture, DNA. Yeah, but I can't speak for other companies that treat their customers like shit. I think it's a mistake.
Thank you for that. Any last words, any last advice, things that people, prospects, customers, users should be aware of?
Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership, one of my favorite books, right? Like regardless of whether you're on the vendor or the prospect side, just take ownership. Don't point fingers. Don't play the blame game. Take ownership, because when you take ownership, it allows you to fix it.
Great one. Thank you, Greg, so much for being a part of the podcast,
Pleasure.
and looking forward to all of the feedback, but you're always welcome. And for everyone else, please subscribe for the show, follow along. And if you have any questions for Greg, follow him, follow Abstract, and get in touch. Bye, everyone. Till next time.
Thanks,
Thanks for joining us today. I'm your host, Irina Mateva, founder of WFM, where we believe that every business and its people are unique and deserve the right solution to their challenges. If you need support with workforce management, we're just a message away. Get in touch at irina@rightwfm.com or info@rightwfm.com. If you like the content and would like to support the show, please subscribe to WFM Unfiltered on your favorite podcast platform, leave a review, and follow me on LinkedIn. You can also show some love to our great sponsors. For more information about them, check out the episode notes. This is your place for real WFM, so to suggest guests or topics, get in touch at irina@rightwfm.com. See ya!